Bonjour à tous. C'est dur hein, après le retour du déjeuner, mais on va s'y mettre avec un sujet passionnant. Comment trouver et former les professionnels de la cybersécurité de demain. Et on va en parler en anglais avec Denis Barinov. On peut l'accueillir en applaudissant, ça va le motiver. Merci.
Bonjour à tous, je m'appelle Denis et je travaille dans le Kaspersky Lab, and that's about everything I got to say in French. Sorry for that. I used to study French in back my university days, but I haven't used it that often since then, so I promise next time I'll be here, I'll be a better speaker in French. So, yeah, today my small talk is dedicated to my mind, is a very important problem of finding and bringing new talents in cybersecurity for the future markets. But before proceeding just to that issue at hand, I'd like to concentrate on some on the world trends to say what actually determines the way we treat our talents in cybersecurity. So the first one is obviously all these trends you keep hearing all the time. It's about new markets. It's about the growth of new markets in 2- and 3-digit pace. So we're talking about IoT, about connected devices, medical devices, about Industry 4.0, about neurotech, and all these things included. And given the fact that a cybersecurity incident happens every 14 seconds, that leaves us much space for new threats within the new markets. For example, IoT could be easily translated into Internet of Threats. The biotech is actually a playground for biohackers and all this kind of stuff. So I would say that the new markets usually bring new threats, which in their turn bring new opportunities for us, for people who work in cybersecurity. That's what we're talking. That's about the world. Now about the organization, because organization we see nowadays it's not the same organization which were like 5 or 7 years ago. Because these trends because modern organization is a highly diversified, highly complex organization with its mobile, its network organization. And it's highly automated and highly robotized. So we see the trends of dehumanizing the organization, meaning that we need less people to do our work. But at the same time, and this is a paradox, the ones who left, the people who we still need, are so highly professional that we need to come up with a whole new approaches towards their acquisition and their retaining. And that's why the organization in the modern time, it becomes more dehumanized and more human-oriented at the same time. And the third thing is about the people themselves. So that the people, the professionals of the modern day is that they are highly mobile and they can work anywhere, anytime, and so on. That is not news. The news is that our skills became obsolete so fast, but we can be sure that what we learn today will still be needed tomorrow, and it applies to all of the professions, not only cybersecurity, but in cybersecurity as well. And this is one of the numbers I should give you. It's that in a 3 years' time, we're actually facing the situation there. A third of all existing professions will be new ones. So those who doesn't existed before that, and this is some prognosis that is made by World Economic Forum. But still, the fact is, and the thing that the soft skills are becoming even more important than the technical skills for technical guys. That means that in terms of our HR practices, for example, we do not know who are our ideal employees anymore. So we don't know actually who will be the ones who will make the difference in 3 or 4 or 5 years' time. And if we're talking about specifically about cybersecurity, well, I have some good and some bad news for you. The good news is that there is like 6 million of your guys out there. And the good news is if you are working in cybersecurity, you most probably won't face any problems with finding a job within the next 5 years because the unemployment rate is nearly zero. But the bad news is, well, it's bad news for HR mostly, but we still, well, this year we will face a shortage of 2 million people in cybersecurity. And this leaves us with the question where to find them. Because all of them are usually well occupied, have a good jobs, and so and they cost a lot. And so what we're going to do about it? Just if we're talking about people, we would be looking starting from today and well in a year's time. As you can see, the cybersecurity market is itself so complex that we're yeah, just a second. So we have a lot of mini markets within this huge market, cybersecurity, and the fact that actually we are now talking about not computer-centered IT architecture, but a human-centered IT architecture. That means that, well, these are probably the professions who will be highly paid or highly demanded within the next 3 or 5 years. And as you can probably see, the new ones, or well, almost new ones, they need people who work there. They need to have not one profession, but 2 or 3 different professions. So in order to be, for example, a biotech security specialist, you'll need to have both IT background, cybersecurity background, and healthcare or medical background. The same goes for neurotech specialists, for example, and so on and so forth. So it's not about specialization anymore. And now if we go to a very practical question, so what should we look at as people who want to get the best cybersecurity professionals? And so the traditional HR practices are just not working anymore. So all these things we are accustomed to see, like the background, education, it's just simply it's not relevant. Because just a couple of examples. We have a guy, a brilliant developer in KASPERSKY LAB, who is he graduated from Philological University, so he doesn't have any technical background. He studied it within his spare days. We have one of the best machine learning specialists in Russia right now. He is a school guy. He's 12 years old, and he making beautiful articles within the Scopus, within the academicians, and so the age or education is not what matters. And just and if you talk about technical guys, again, 3 years ago or maybe 5 years ago, it was pretty easy. You just point to one particular skill, for example, programming on Python, and you just get the right guys. Nowadays, the technical guys, they're of course they should have some technical skills, hard skills, but so much more depends on the soft skills part. Just these 2 examples I want to show you. The threat hunter and cybersecurity trainer, they're more, of course they're technical guys, but at the same time they need to have a very long set of different soft skills. For example, threat hunter, he's a detective, he needs some critical thinking, he needs to be creative, he needs to be business aware, and so on and so forth. So as for the cyber trainer, for example, it's not just some introvert guy who just look at his laptop and hates the whole world. It's a guy who can explain very hardcore stuff to these hardcore guys, and to be communicative, instructive, and it's very hard to find these people. And they cost a lot. So just to give you a hint on of what we are doing in order to address these problems, we place an emphasis on two different types of employees. First, it's young talents, and the second is experienced hires who actually didn't work in cybersecurity before that. So as for the SafeBoard program, this is our internship program, which lasts for 1 year. And the key message behind this program, I just translated, it's in Russian here, that we don't care where you study as long as you're going to save the world. Meaning that we're not looking at particular universities, we are looking at skills of these particular guys. So, and at the very first selection process, we propose them to complete several tests from 3 to 5, which measures particular IT skill. For example, programming language, machine learning techniques, system analysis, and all this kind of stuff. And only after, and we do not, they just apply for internship, not for a particular stream. And then we decide on the basis of what tests have they chosen and how good they are at it, we decide which stream or which profession or which speciality we are going to propose them. And the best ones are chosen for an online hackathon, offline hackathon, sorry. Then the teams are getting to know these people in person. So how good are they at solving some practical tasks? For example, they have disassembled computer. They need to set it up, to start it up, and then to find the actual task on this computer if it works. And after that, we have a 2 months intensive training. Then we get to know the guys, we see that their values, their approach to job, and so on. And at the end, we have 70 new bright talents who are motivated to work within in cybersecurity and not stuck within a single stream. And if we are talking about established professionals, this is quite a new approach for us, is that we're looking not at their background, but rather on the manifestation of some skill which is out there. For example, if we are looking for a threat hunter, we might possibly go for a guy who is very good at quiz solving, or who is very good at some analytical cases solving. But in order to do this, they need to apply some AI machine learning techniques, because it's a whole new set of data. We're just in the beginning of this process, but still, we are determined to use this approach to find the skills comes first. The skills and manifestation of the skills come first, then comes the personality. And when we found this guy, we just talk to them in order to understand that our values and our vision are coinciding. And just a few words about studying. Well, we have how to train them. If we got some bright new talent, what we do to train them? Well, it's basically two different set of skills. As for technical skills, the trend here is flash training. So micro-learning, for example, if you need to know how to use the screwdriver, you just, well, see some video on YouTube. We make an emphasis on participating in different challenges, like this one, for example, because it's a very good motivation for people to learn something new and to learn from the best. This is some industry-based projects within the students starting from year 1. For example, we had a project with the students in Singapore who they trained the neural network to identify the cheaters on online video gaming, for example. And that's and they studied a lot during this project. This is educational collaborations. For example, we have an Android Academy where 3 different companies are joined together to teach the school people, the school guys to for Android programming. And well, as far as soft skill goes, I would just mention one of the best is cross-functional teams, where you bring together the guys from all different backgrounds, from different professions. And this is the best way to learn some soft skills, to learn communication, to learn how to get along, to learn how to make, how to come to an agreement. And of course, yeah. And the last thing I want to say is that what's about university in this new era? And I would say that the university as we know it is no longer relevant, because university we are looking at is not a place where you study. It's actually a place which propose multiple opportunities. It might be with or in or not in this university for the students. And this is a place where you can actually you can use all kind of infrastructure, like open labs, like co-workings for the students, so that you can achieve your own individual career and learning pattern. And this is not about, the university is just a hub in this network of creating a new cybersecurity professional. It may be important hub, but it's just one hub. And so this concludes my very fast speech about the fact that human-centered IT architecture should definitely be matched with the human-centric architecture in education. Thank you very much, and I will be happy to tell you about this a bit more somewhere out there. So thanks a lot. I hope I make it in time.
Thanks a lot. It was not easy. Thank you a lot. Restez avec nous. On va pas faire une petite incursion dans le monde de la téléphonie. On va parler 5G et sécurité avec Huawei dans 5 minutes. Bonjour à tous, merci de nous rejoindre. On va parler téléphonie, sécurité et 5G avec Huawei, mon intervenant qui se cache déjà. Et on va parler de tout ça en anglais, donc j'espère que vous êtes bilingue. Donc je laisse la parole à, j'espère que je prononce bien, c'est Claire. On peut l'applaudir.
Hi, good afternoon. So I'm going to do a quick overview and introduction into how we at Huawei are looking into 5G, the challenges, and how we are working towards finding solutions as we develop our 5G solution. So just 2 sentences about me. I'm Yair. I'm the head of the Solution Security Department in Huawei, responsible for the European region. So most people know Huawei mainly from our mobile phones, and that's great, but actually that's one part of our business. The other part is we are one of the leading ICT providers in the world. That means that roughly a third of the world, almost 3 billion people, are using or their traffic is actually going through a Huawei product or solution. And we have thousands of customers in 170 countries, and that kind of puts a lot of responsibility on us as a vendor when we're deploying or developing new solutions. And so as a result, we are focusing a lot about cybersecurity, and some of the things that we are doing is we are doing advanced research in cybersecurity. We have labs across the world focusing on advanced and future technologies. And that kind of opens us to everything that is coming in the current trends and as well in the future. So when we're talking about 5G, let's talk for a second about the motivation. 5G is basically going to be an extension on one hand of existing capabilities. It gives us additional bandwidth, but it also gives us additional use cases. And with new use cases comes new business opportunity. So it's not just about more, bandwidth that you can download faster movies, but also about reliability. That gives you interesting use cases such as remote surgery, such as autonomic driving. And these kind of things are propagating. And actually, if we look from a 3GPP, and which is the organization that standardized the 5G solution, and we're talking even from the European perspective, we can see kind of how the world leaders and the world organizations are thinking about 5G. And so we see these interesting business cases and business opportunities that cannot just be sustained by existing technology like LTE or 4G for those of you who are not connected. When we talk about reliability, so 5G is all about developing these ultra-low reliable capabilities. And that brings with it responsibility. So how do I ensure this ultra-low reliability capabilities when I'm doing a surgery and then some bad guys kind of trying to compromise that, right? And so that's one of the aspects that these business cases bring additional challenges that weren't there in 4G. And on the other hand, we are seeing this kind of trend across the world where cybersecurity is becoming this this thing that is hitting the news. And it's not hitting the news like it used to, it's kind of hitting the news from a business perspective. So one of the cool things that, well, cool for, you know, depend on how you look at, from what perspective you're looking at, is that you are seeing that there's incidents in severity, complexity that are just getting more severe, more complex to handle and thereby harder to mitigate. And the attackers are actually getting a lot of money. So an attack right now is not just trying to DDoS your site for the sake of DDoS, but DDoS in the sake of getting money. Cryptoware that is prepared as a payload so you can make money out of those attacks. That makes the threat agents and the threat actors in NIST terminology much more intent on developing these tools. On the other hand, we are also seeing this approach towards faster development of vulnerabilities. So from the time that you see actual patches being released by leading manufacturers to the moment that automatic vulnerabilities and exploit are created, if you guys are familiar with the DARPA Grand Challenge, then you know that there are tools right now and academic and technical work there that allows you to basically automatically generate for every vulnerability, every patch that has been released, you can generate automatically vulnerability and an exploit. That means vulnerabilities and exploit are hitting the markets seconds after an exploit has been, a patch has been released. And since most organizations do not patch their system, that kind of increases the likelihood of an exploit being utilized. So when we summarize all these things, what we start to see in 5G is an aggregation of challenges. And these aggregation of challenges are across a variety of domains, from cloudification, where we are virtualizing, and it goes further beyond virtualization, where we're virtualizing the core, and we're virtualizing a lot of these resources, and we're starting to introduce multi-tenancy capabilities, not just mobile virtual providers, but also basically allowing enterprises to go into our network. And that it's an amazing business opportunity, right? But then we're introducing multi-tenancy into our network, and we need to ensure that we have quality of service and proper isolation that are end-to-end. We are also introducing in 5G a distributed architecture. It's called SBA, or service-based architecture, which is, again, it's standard in IT world. It's microservice flavor of an architecture. But then all of a sudden, this monolithic approach that we had before now needs to be addressed, because now applications and VMs that are and containers that are starting to run there introduce their own attack surface and expose additional risks. Then, like I said before, all of a sudden, if you have a vehicle and that vehicle is connected to your 5G network or an e-health application, then any exposure or any tampering thereby can cause people to die. So that means that the risk factor is being increased, because now, before you didn't have this kind of scenario, now these scenarios are being pushed towards this new technology. And in addition, we have to take into account one of the things that people forget to think, and that is legacy. So everyone, when you talk about new technologies, is like, oh, great, it's awesome, we will just deploy it. But we know that in 5G, we will deal with a lot of legacy applications, and therefore we need to be able to identify and how to set up a plan that allows us to maintain our security capabilities as we start to migrate from a 4G core, from a 4G network towards a 5G network. And so we started, and when we start to do that, we start like any security expert, I hope, is doing. First thing you do is you start to understand these challenges in business cases. Second thing you do is you start to do a threat modeling. And so we started, this is just like the big things, right? The sexy things of threat modeling, and we looked into the UE, or the end device, your mobile phone, and then we looked into the RAN interfaces, and then we looked into the transport, and each one of them, we started to analyze that as a solution level. And then this immediately translates into a set of security features that, or actually to a set of security gaps and threats that you need to contemplate as you're starting to develop a solution. So this is like ABC, it's like 101 on cybersecurity. I'm not, if you guys are expert, I'm not telling you anything else other than showing you that we did that, and that's basically what we are focused about. And then the point is, okay, now that we have this modeling, we need to understand how to implement security by design. Now the network principle of security by design, I brought some quotes from some organizations so you can see. I'm not going to read them because it's not that, you know, it's nice, but it's not that important. But the concept is, if you look from a security design perspective, is that when we talk about security by design, usually we are talking from a product perspective. And that's actually where all the time in cybersecurity, in modern solutions, we are getting lost. We have a great firewall, a next generation firewall, or a next generation IDPS, or a next generation whatever. And then when it comes to become a solution, things break down. Either communication is not working, or traffic routing is not operating properly, or actually maintaining everything works, but maintaining it in terms of configuration and management, it's not working. And so the key understanding when we implement security by design concept is not to implement that just on the product level, but to iterate that at the solution level. And that's easier said than done, because if I talk about like a simple thing like least privilege access, what is a least privilege access at the solution level? And then you need to analyze the business case and identify how to maintain that across end-to-end on your solution. And so in order to do that, one of the key things we took is, you know, we're not trying to invent the wheel, and that's something that a lot of people try to do. We're just trying to improve on ourselves and do it continuously, is to adopt a security framework. And so we looked into what many people consider a good cybersecurity architectural framework, and we adopted the NIST cybersecurity framework. And then we had to modify it and improve it to address things like privacy that are still needed to be enhanced, and as well to additional things that are going towards the solution level. And that's basically what we did. And when people ask us, okay, why did you take CSF? Because there are other patterns, and said, well, first, when we look at 5G, like we said before, we introduced this both distributed and virtualized frameworks, which needs to be evaluated continuously, because these frameworks are evolving. If you guys are tracking ETSI, then you know that in ETSI there are standardization, ETSI and FVSec work group, and these kind of threats are continuously evolving as we progress, and they will continue to happen. So we needed a framework that allows us to track this kind of complex deployment in a systematic way. And in addition, from these business cases, as we said before, we needed the ability to identify and map and catalog them properly. And so obviously, we took those things and we integrated into our process, which is the Huawei cybersecurity architectural process. That's an end-to-end process. That's a process that basically takes a product or takes a solution and then evaluates it throughout its lifetime continuously through various stages to analyze it and to ensure that the right things are and the right controls are being set in the right place. And then again, this is not new, and I'm not inventing here or trying to claim that I'm inventing the wheel here or reinventing it. I'm just saying we are good students and we understand the threats and we understand how to employ them. And so out of this process, what came out is two strategic steps that we chose, and I cannot go too much into detail, but I'm just going to touch them on the high level. And the first one is to understand that one of the key challenges and where we feel that the IT world is failing is there's not enough standardization. So the market is fragmented amongst too many players, too many products, and when you start to talk about how to consolidate the security, it's very difficult, especially when the security or the solution itself is complex as deployment of carrier networks. And therefore, one of the approaches that we chose is to work through the standardization bodies. That is ETSI, we contribute in significantly, and the other through 3GPP, which actually standardize this. Now, you can say, okay, why don't you just do it yourselves? And the simple answer is, when you do it yourself, then the other guy might also do something else. And then you don't talk together. And it's very easy to convince yourself you're doing something good, but it's even harder to convince someone else, and it's even harder to convince someone else to sign on that and agree on that. Now, so that's one approach we took, and then it's actually to work through 3GPP and to standardize a lot of these security controls as a solution. And I think that was one of the good choices. But of course, sometimes you have gaps, and the gaps is, you know, working in standardization, it's slow, and you need to agree with a lot of people on a lot of things, and yeah, standardization will get there, but in the meantime, you have these challenges that we talked before. So how do we secure these challenges by the time that the standardization will go there? So the second step of this strategy is to say, while we are looking into what we are pushing towards the standardization, we will also develop what we feel from our analysis are the gaps. And so this is exactly what we did. We identify what is currently missing in the current standardization and what is needed to be completed in order to create a holistic solution. Now, this word holistic is abused often, and in most cases it's not really holistic, but from a solution perspective, the goal is to actually look into every security control and to be able to say, this security control is necessary, and this security control is indeed can be mapped to the relevant part of the solution to generate an end-to-end security solution. So these are the set of controls that we decided to enhance currently while working with 3GPP and to generate an end-to-end security solution to 5G. And this is just one part of our conclusion. Now, if we go to the end and to summarize, obviously this is not the end, because we have to understand 5G is just beginning. 5G, new use cases will happen. New business cases that we didn't anticipate, new type of solutions will happen. And so the goal, and that's why we are talking about a continuous evaluation, for us is to continuously work with the community, continuously work with our partners, and to continuously evaluate what is gonna come and set up this security features in the right place to work holistically. Thank you.
Merci beaucoup. Hier, oula, ça va. On se retrouve dans 5 minutes pour répondre à cette question. La France est-elle capable de résister à un cyberouragan? C'est dans 5 minutes. Bonjour à tous, merci de nous rejoindre. On va poursuivre les talks et on va se poser une question. La France est-elle prête à résister à un cyberouragan? Eh bien, la réponse tout de suite avec Wavestone et l'Institut Montaigne. Je laisse tout de suite la parole et je vous demande de les applaudir.
Bonjour à tous, très heureux d'être ici. Je suis Nicolas Boquet, je suis le directeur des études de l'Institut Montaigne, avec Jérôme Bellois de Wavestone, qui est rapporteur du rapport, dont on vous a distribué des exemplaires et dont vous avez un petit résumé dans les sacs du FIC. Un rapport donc, paru en novembre dernier. L'Institut Montaigne, on est donc un think tank avec environ 150 entreprises adhérentes qui a l'habitude de mettre ensemble des décideurs privés, des décideurs publics et des experts. Et évidemment, comme tout le monde depuis 2017 et les grandes attaques, on a vu chez nos adhérents et dans l'écosystème en général une inquiétude monter sur les questions de cybersécurité, inquiétude qui est traitée à un niveau politique, notamment on l'a vu au moment de l'appel de Paris pour la confiance dans le cyberespace, mais qu'on a voulu traiter dans un niveau plus national et au niveau des entreprises, sous la forme d'un groupe de travail, comme on a l'habitude de le faire, qui a réuni beaucoup de RSSI, de grands groupes français, avec Marwan Laoud comme président et Jérôme Bellois de Wavestone comme rapporteur.
Bonjour à tous, effectivement ce groupe de travail, on l'a fait vivre pendant à peu près 6 mois pour répondre à cette question, donc est-ce que la France est capable de résister à un cyberouragan? Alors on vous a mis une image derrière de ce concept, de cette idée. On a voulu ce groupe de travail aussi, et les recommandations, on les a challengés avec pas mal d'acteurs, des acteurs que vous avez vus ici au FIC, que ce soit l'ANSSI, le Cybercom au niveau du ministère des Armées, pour justement arriver à leur donner le plus de corps possible.
On a imaginé un scénario dont on pensait qu'il n'était peut-être pas suffisamment couvert par la revue stratégique de cyberdéfense, qui est un scénario qui malheureusement peut devenir de plus en plus crédible d'une attaque qui proviendrait d'un acteur non étatique qui pourrait avoir dérobé des outils développés par un État pour une attaque et un cyberouragan qui, dans notre scénario, toucherait 15 000 PME, 12 grandes entreprises, donc 4 dans les secteurs stratégiques et 4 ministères. On a essayé d'estimer le dommage économique considérable que cela fournirait, mais surtout on en a fait, je dirais, un scénario pour essayer de voir les points de faiblesse et les points sur lesquels on a à la fois des dispositifs, mais aussi des révolutions culturelles à mettre en œuvre pour se protéger collectivement. Et le collectivement est vraiment le point central du rapport.
Et donc sur ce scénario, la première question qu'on s'est posée, c'est quelle en est la réalité? Est-ce que c'est un scénario qui est plausible? La réponse est arrivée vite, c'est oui. Oui, pourquoi? Parce que eh bien, aujourd'hui, on le sait, tous nos systèmes d'information sont interconnectés, ça on le sait tous, mais surtout, on a des points de faiblesse dans le sens où on a un manque énorme de diversité dans ces systèmes d'information. On utilise tous les mêmes systèmes d'exploitation, Windows pour ne pas le nommer par exemple, on utilise tous les mêmes smartphones, il y a 2 grandes familles, famille Android, famille iOS, et finalement ce manque de diversité pose le même problème que dans la biologie. Eh bien, une fois qu'une maladie touche quelque part, elle peut se répandre extrêmement rapidement, et on l'a vu avec les grandes attaques de 2017, vous vous souvenez peut-être de l'attaque NotPetya, où en moins d'1 heure, plusieurs centaines de milliers d'ordinateurs ont été touchés, ont été mis à terre et ont entraîné un dégât qui a été évalué à plus de 10 milliards de dollars. Donc cette interconnectivité, cette hégémonie d'un grand nombre d'acteurs finalement fragilise nos économies, même si toutes les entreprises sont à l'échelle unitaire différentes.
Alors parlons maintenant des recommandations. L'idée principale, c'est cette idée d'une réaction collective qui implique les acteurs privés et les acteurs publics, et qui inclut des acteurs privés qui ont aujourd'hui des niveaux extrêmement hétérogènes dans leur capacité à répondre à cette menace. Bien sûr, les OIV ont un niveau de protection élevé. Dans le secteur privé, plus généralement, un certain nombre de secteurs comme les banques sont bien protégés parce qu'elles ont les moyens de le faire. À l'inverse, certains secteurs, comme par exemple le secteur industriel, qui est moins numérisé mais qui l'est de plus en plus avec l'industrie 4.0, apparaît particulièrement vulnérable. Le point particulièrement important pour nous, c'est le point, et ça c'est central dans l'orientation de l'Institut Montaigne, c'est de porter attention à nos PME et à nos ETI qui sont moins bien protégés et avec une fragilité qui est liée à différents facteurs, notamment le manque de ressources, de compétences disponibles. Et cette situation mérite une attention particulière. Le mot d'ordre, je l'ai dit, c'est solidarité. L'idée, c'est comment est-ce qu'on peut réagir ensemble pour prévenir et surtout pour résister et améliorer notre résilience face à ce type d'attaque. Donc, coopération entre acteurs publics et acteurs privés, coopération entre acteurs du secteur privé et notamment entre grands groupes et PME, en particulier entre les grands groupes et leurs fournisseurs, puisque c'est aussi une source de vulnérabilité dans le système. Je laisse le soin donc à Jérôme de détailler un petit peu les recommandations que vous avez trouvées non seulement dans le rapport, mais dans le petit feuillet qui a été distribué à tout le monde.
Voilà, donc le groupe de travail a fait 13 recommandations. Alors je ne vais pas effectivement les détailler toutes là, on n'aurait pas le temps, mais je vais en citer quelques-unes qui nous semblent particulièrement emblématiques. On a un premier groupe de recommandations qui est sur la mobilisation. On le sait encore aujourd'hui, on a un déficit de mobilisation à l'échelle globale de tous les types d'entreprises sur ce sujet cyber. Donc on a réfléchi à des choses, par exemple, imposer la rédaction d'un rapport annuel sur les risques cyber auprès des conseils d'administration dans les grands groupes cotés. Il y a déjà des rapports sur les risques, certains parfois oublient le sujet cyber, donc là on pense que ça c'est une idée forte. L'idée de la supply chain que Nicolas a présentée en détail, d'inciter quelque part les grandes entreprises à non pas juste imposer des clauses contractuelles à leurs fournisseurs, ça on sait bien le faire, mais aussi les aider et faire progresser ces TPE, ces PME qui les aident au quotidien. Et puis on a eu une idée aussi, on s'est dit, qui est capable de parler en confiance avec un chef d'entreprise dans une TPE, dans une PME? Alors on s'est dit c'est peut-être son banquier, mais attention avec le banquier, on a des histoires d'argent, on veut avoir des crédits, on ne veut pas forcément exposer ses faiblesses. On s'est dit c'est peut-être les assureurs. Ah oui, mais les assureurs, on a aussi une relation commerciale avec eux parce qu'on va vouloir acheter des produits d'assurance. Et finalement, dans le groupe de travail, on a trouvé que les experts comptables et les commissaires aux comptes, c'était des personnes qui étaient des acteurs de confiance auprès du tissu économique local et qui pouvaient aller voir les dirigeants de ces petites entreprises pour les mobiliser sur le sujet cyber de manière simple, avec quelques questions, des questions basiques. On dira certainement pour vous tous qui êtes dans le sujet, mais est-ce qu'on a des sauvegardes? En combien de jours on peut faire redémarrer son système d'information? Voilà. Et donc on s'est rapproché des experts comptables et des commissaires aux comptes et on a une initiative commune qui a été lancée là, en décembre de l'année dernière pour que ce sujet soit abordé de manière régulière avec les dirigeants des différentes entreprises. Donc ça avance de leur côté et on suit ça avec intérêt. On va voir ce que ça donne. Deuxième volet, c'est la capacité à faire preuve de solidarité et de partager les compétences. Dans le scénario qu'évoquait Nicolas, ce qui se passe, c'est qu'on n'aurait jamais assez de personnes en France, en tout cas dans les sociétés privées, les sociétés qui font de la réponse à incidents, pour aider les entreprises à survivre, à reconstruire leur système d'information. On aurait un problème qu'il n'y a pas assez d'experts sur le marché disponibles pour répondre à cet incident. Donc il y a un premier niveau de réponse à l'échelle de l'État, c'est la réserve de cyberdéfense. Mais on s'est dit aussi que même cette réserve, à un moment, elle peut être dépassée. Et donc on pousse une recommandation qui est le prêt de personnel et de compétences entre entreprises. Et ça, c'est clé parce que finalement, aujourd'hui, les grandes entreprises, elles ont développé des équipes cyber avec un certain nombre de compétences et elles pourraient, en cas d'incident majeur, se prêter le personnel. Comme on le voit d'ailleurs quand il y a une catastrophe naturelle, on voit par exemple que quand on a des problèmes électriques en France, c'est des gens de l'EDF allemands, belges, etc., qui viennent nous aider en cas de tempête. Ça pourrait être la même chose à l'échelle cyber. Alors ça nécessitera peut-être de changer certaines habitudes. Parce que quand on évoque cette idée, il y a tout de suite l'idée « Ah mon Dieu, la concurrence, la confidentialité, comment est-ce possible ?» Je peux vous dire que pour l'avoir vécu, quand on est dans un incident majeur et qu'on n'a plus rien pour pouvoir travailler, on est bien content de recevoir de l'aide, même de ses concurrents. Et ces concurrents, par solidarité, eux, savent aussi se mobiliser. Voilà, ça c'est vraiment le deuxième pilier. Et puis le troisième pilier, c'est avoir la capacité à réagir vite à des attaques qui soient larges et rapides, avec là-dessus aussi un changement d'état d'esprit dans les entreprises. Aujourd'hui, une entreprise, quand elle subit une attaque cyber, qu'est-ce qu'elle fait? Elle monte le pont-levis, elle s'enferme et elle laisse l'attaquant taper à la porte. On pense qu'une entreprise, elle peut avoir une approche plus dynamique, plus active face à ces cybermenaces, se doter de la capacité, alors non pas à contre-attaquer, attention, on n'est pas du tout dans cette logique-là parce que là, on est dans une espèce de Far West du cyberespace et derrière, on perd tous les bons réflexes, mais ne serait-ce que déjà échanger sur l'attaque qu'elle subit avec d'autres pour voir si d'autres aussi ont été touchés et sinon pas la solution pour répondre à cette attaque. Pourquoi pas aussi, si l'attaquant s'appuie sur des serveurs qui sont dans une autre entreprise ou chez un autre hébergeur, contacter cette entreprise ou contacter cet hébergeur pour faire fermer les serveurs qui sont utilisés comme rebond par l'attaquant. Ça, c'est des choses que certains, les plus matures, font aujourd'hui, mais qu'on ne rencontre pas de manière large dans les entreprises et qui pourraient faire gagner beaucoup de choses. Et puis, on a aussi poussé pour avoir ce qu'on appelle un label de cyber-résilience pour les objets connectés les plus sensibles. Vous l'avez entendu, je pense, 10 000 fois sur les 2 derniers jours, l'IoT va être partout. Sauf que l'IoT, c'est plus seulement dans le domicile, c'est pas seulement les lumières ou le haut-parleur connecté, c'est aussi la voiture, c'est aussi les équipements médicaux, c'est aussi les avions, c'est aussi des choses qui peuvent finalement avoir un effet direct sur notre sûreté à titre personnel. Ce qu'on souhaite avec l'Institut Montaigne, c'est avoir un label qui garantisse que ces objets connectés soient capables d'assurer un minimum de sûreté en cas de cyberattaque. Pour faire simple, je suis dans une voiture connectée et autonome, cette voiture est attaquée, je garantis que quand j'appuierai sur la pédale de frein, il y a des mécanismes ultimes qui font que la voiture freinera quand même. Voilà. Donc ça paraît évident, mais ce n'est pas forcément aujourd'hui ce qu'on peut rencontrer partout. Et donc c'est aussi pour ça qu'on pousse ces différents concepts. Donc voilà, je vous ai fait un extrait rapide des recommandations. Comme le disait Nicolas, vous les avez dans le rapport. Et je repasse la parole à Nicolas pour conclure.
Merci beaucoup. Donc le rapport est paru en novembre. Évidemment, nous, on veut le faire vivre, à la fois dans notre dialogue avec les pouvoirs publics, c'est le cœur de notre métier en tant que think tank, et on est en discussion notamment avec l'ANSSI naturellement sur ce dossier. Et puis, au sein même du secteur privé, on peut jouer un rôle de plateforme. d'aiguillon pour certaines initiatives, dont certaines ont déjà commencé. Jérôme en a parlé, et on va continuer pour essayer d'avancer ensemble sur les différentes pistes qu'on a esquissées. Donc on serait ravis d'avoir... n'hésitez pas à nous contacter pour nous donner vos commentaires, vos pistes. Et puis voilà, c'est un travail collectif, hein. C'est vraiment le message central. Une cyberattaque n'est pas une maladie honteuse. Il ne faut pas la cacher, il faut la partager, il faut réagir ensemble. Et de la même façon, on s'y préparera ensemble et on a voulu, nous, y contribuer par ce rapport. Merci.
Merci beaucoup à tous les deux. La suite du programme dans 5 minutes, c'est les processus de certification des plateformes Apple.